Okay, a couple more questions, Jenson. The weather in Singapore, as you know, quite variable. It rained, I think, earlier on this afternoon. We hope it doesn't rain at the night circuit. I think we've been lucky in the last 2 years that there hasn't actually been rain during the circuit itself. But, you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed that there's no rain this year. But if it should pour, is there any strategy on your part, driving-wise?
Well, you know, I should be used to the rain. I come from a country where it rains pretty much every day, so I should be used to it. But the rain we get in England is very different to the rain here. You know,
how so?
It's a lot lighter. When it rains here, it's a proper downpour, and within seconds it can become a lake, the circuit. So it's very tricky. And we had a situation in Malaysia last year where they had to stop the race because there was so much water on the circuit.
Right.
The cars were pretty much floating across the surface.
Oh, wow.
So it's tricky, and if it does rain here, hopefully it's not going to be that heavy because none of us want to find a situation where we can't actually get any grip on the circuit.
Yeah.
So if it rains, adds excitement. I love the situation of trying to decide which tires to use,
right?
Because obviously we have the extreme wet, we have the intermediate, and we have the slick tires. So it's very exciting when you get in a situation when you have to try and understand which tire is best for each situation. And for me, I love that sort of racing.
But in wet weather conditions, do you think that wet weather conditions allow for more likelihood of overtakings because maybe the drivers then tend to be a little more cautious?
It's possible on some circuits, sort of big open circuits where you have more possibility to overtake because people find it more difficult, drivers find it more difficult to find the right braking area. In the wet, if you brake a little bit late and you lock a tire, you go straight on, and it's more difficult to keep it under control. Whereas in the dry, if you lock a tire, you can control it. You can come off the brake and modulate the brake pedal, the throttle, just to balance the car. But in the wet, it's a lot more difficult because you have such a little grip, and plus it's not consistent. You have a puddle, and then you don't, then you have a puddle. So it's very, very tricky. So there are opportunities to overtake in the wet. The problem is on a street circuit, it's very tricky because you get so much spray from the car in front. It's sort of your road car spray times by 20. I mean,
really?
we can't see anything past our steering wheel, basically.
No kidding.
When it's really, really wet. So it's pretty scary out there, and we're all in the same position. But it's if somebody's braking a little bit earlier than what you expected,
right,
you will run into the back of them. So it's a tricky situation. You've got to get the right balance of being aggressive in the wet to fight, obviously, for a victory. But also you've got to back it off a little bit because it's very difficult conditions.
In the starting grid here in the Singapore circuit, at least, how important is it to be right at the front of the queue?
Yeah, if it's wet, it's so important to be on the front row.
Yeah.
Here because of the spray. If it's dry, again, the front row, you've made life easier for yourself,
right,
because you've qualified well. You've made the race easier. You're starting further up, but you can still have a good result from further back. And I hope to be on the front row. That has to be our aim here.
Yes.
We have a lot of great competition. We have the Red Bulls and the Ferraris that are very quick. So they're going to make it difficult for our team, the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes team. But I'm excited about the race this weekend. I think it's going to be a fun race for us involved and also all the fans that will be watching.
Are you guys excited for the race this weekend? Yeah, they're right behind you. You always field questions from the media. We're going to do something slightly different right now. We're actually going to give you an opportunity to answer a question that comes not from the media, but from a fan. Earlier on, before you guys came here, we actually went out, got into the public, and found a fan. He's come all the way from Australia, I think, to ask you a question. So, Rod, why don't you stand up? He's a fan. He's not a member of the media. This is the fan talking, Jenson.
What's your name, mate?
My name is Rod from Australia.
How you doing, man?
Welcome to Singapore. Just a quick question. Last year's championship car, how does it compare to this year's Mercedes? How does it handle in performance?
Well, I'll just correct you. It's the McLaren car, actually, I'm driving this year.
Oh, sorry.
McLaren Mercedes.
It's a good thing you're not the media.
Don't get that one mixed up. It's a good question, but it's also one that I don't want to compare the two cars because it's obviously different teams, different seasons, and I think it's also unfair. But for me, last year was an exceptional season. Working with a team that I'd worked with for 7 years, and to finally fight for the World Championship, which was always our aim, and to come away with the World Championship, it was the perfect season for me. And we'd been through some massive highs and lows through our career together. And so to sort of win the championship in 2009 was very special. But this year for me has been a very different year because it's a new start, it's a new challenge, and everything's new to me within the team. So it's been a challenge, but also very exciting. I've been a lot more relaxed this year. Last year I was very, very tense, and especially over the last 5 or 6 races. You know, you never know if you'll get the opportunity again. You hope that you do, but you never know. But this year, I'm in a car that's very competitive. I'm with a team that has won multiple world championships in the past. So I feel very at home already after 10 months. And having won 2 races, you know, a win away from leading the world championship. So, yeah, I'm in a great place right now, really enjoying my racing. And for me, that's the most important thing. So.